Okay, so this is the Daf for April 13th, 2025. This falls on Pesach, so we're in. But please don't watch this on Pesach. Please watch it after. This is Daf 5 for Makkot. So I'm going to back up to the end of 4. It says, and the Gemara asked, and concerning the rabbis, meaning the majority, what do they derive from that verse? The Gemara answers, that verse is necessary, according to the rabbis, for the requirement of proclamation. When the witnesses are taken to their execution, there is a mitzvah for the court to publicly proclaim the transgression for which they are being punished, in order to deter others from committing the same transgression. And Rabbi Meir derives the requirement of proclamation from the phrase in that verse, shall hear in fear. The prohibition is derived from the phrase, and shall not continue to perform any more evil. When punishing conspiring witnesses based on the verse, as he conspired to do to his brother, Deuteronomy 19:19, one divides the punishment of money among them, but one does not divide the punishment of lashes among them. Each receives 39 lashes. The Mishnah elaborates, how so? If the witnesses testified about someone that he owes another person 200 dinars, and they were then found to be conspiring witnesses, the witnesses divide the sum among themselves and pay a total of 200 dinars. But if they testified about someone that he was liable to receive 40 lashes, and they were then found to be conspiring witnesses, each and every one of the witnesses receives 40 lashes. The Gemara asks, from where are these matters that the witnesses do not divide the punishment of lashes among themselves derived? Abaye said, wicked, Deuteronomy 25, verse 2. So wicked is stated with regard to those liable to receive lashes, and wicked, Numbers 35:13, is stated with regard to those liable to receive a court-imposed death penalty. Just as there, with regard to those sentenced to be executed, there is no partial death penalty. So to here, with regard to those liable to receive lashes, there is no partial administering of lashes. Rava said the reason the punishment of lashes is not divided is that we require fulfillment of the verse, as he conspired to do to his brother, Deuteronomy 19:19. And were the conspiring witnesses to receive fewer than 39 lashes, the verse would not be fulfilled. The Gemara asked, if so, in the case of money too, one should not divide the sum between them, as each sought to cause the defendant loss of the entire sum. The Gemara answers, sums of money paid by the witnesses can combine, as the person against whom they testified receives the entire sum that they sought to cause him to lose, but lashes administered to the witnesses cannot combine. Back to the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, witnesses are not rendered conspiring witnesses until the witnesses who come to render them conspiring impeach the witnesses themselves and not merely their testimony. How so? A set of witnesses said, we testify with regard to a man called so-and-so that he killed a person, that they attested to the precise time and place that the murder took place. Then a second set of witnesses came to the court and said to them, how can you testify about this? This person who was killed, or this person who killed, was with us. That is, with the second set of witnesses. On that day in such and such a place, which is not the location identified by the first set of witnesses, of course. In that case, although the second set of witnesses contradicted the testimony of the first set, these first witnesses are not rendered conspiring witnesses. But if the second set of witnesses came to the court and said to them, how can you testify about that event? You were with us on that day in such and such place. In that case, these first witnesses are rendered conspiring witnesses and are executed on the basis of that is the second set's testimony. Obviously, because the witnesses say you were with us, and they were saying that they were somewhere else, then they conspired. But someone could be mistaken, and they said, oh, well, I saw this happen. I saw this event happen. But the other guy says, no, that guy was with us on that day, the second set of witnesses. Then they're not conspiring witnesses. It's just that the testimony doesn't line up, and they were just misidentifying somebody. So they're given the benefit of the doubt there. So if other witnesses, that is the third set, came and corroborated the testimony of the first set of witnesses, and the second set of witnesses testified that this third set of witnesses were also with them elsewhere that day and rendered them conspiring witnesses. And similarly, if you had other witnesses in a fourth set came and corroborated the testimony of the first set of witnesses, and the second set rendered them conspiring witnesses, even if 100 sets of witnesses were all rendered conspiring witnesses by the same second set of witnesses, all of them are executed on the basis of their testimony, as the authority of two witnesses is equivalent to the authority of numerous witnesses. Rabbi Yehuda says, this situation where a set of witnesses renders all the others conspiring witnesses is a conspiracy, as there is room for suspicion that they simply decided to impeach all witnesses who offer that testimony, and it is only the first set alone that is executed. So that's istatim is the conspiracy. Istatit. The Gemara says, with regard to the halacha that witnesses are rendered conspiring witnesses only if the second set testifies that the first set was with them elsewhere at that time, and not if they directly contradict the testimony of the first set. The Gemara asks, from where are these matters derived? Rav Ada said, it is derived from a verse, as the verse states with regard to conspiring witnesses, quote, and the witness is a false witness. He testified falsely against his brother. Deuteronomy 19:18. Indicating that they are not rendered conspiring witnesses until the body of the testimony is rendered false. That is, the testimony with regard to the actual witnesses was proven wrong, as they were not there at the time of the event in question. The school of Rabbi Yishmael taught a different source for this halacha. It is stated in a passage, quote, if a unrighteous witness rise up against any man to bear a perverted witness against him, Deuteronomy 19:16. Indicating that the witnesses are not rendered conspiring witnesses until the body of the testimony is rendered perverted, but not through contradiction of any aspect of the testimony. Rava says, two witnesses came and said, so-and-so killed a person to the east of a building, or bira, and the two other witnesses came to court and said to the first set, but were you not with us to the west of the building at that time? How can you testify to an incident that transpired on the other side of the building? We see, if when people are standing to the west of the building, they see to the east of the building, these witnesses are not conspiring witnesses, but if it is not possible to see from one side of the building to the other, these witnesses are conspiring witnesses. The Gemara asks, isn't that obvious? The Gemara answers, lest you say, let us be concerned about the possibility that these witnesses have particularly good eyesight and were able to see that far despite a typical person's being able to see that far. Therefore, Rava teaches us that one does not take that possibility into account. And Rava says, if two witnesses came and said, so-and-so killed a person in Surah in the morning on Sunday, and two other witnesses came to the court and said to the first set, in the evening on Sunday you were with us in Nahar, we see if one is able to travel from Surah to Nahar from morning until evening, they are not conspiring witnesses, as conceivably they could have witnessed the murder in Surah and traveled to Nahar by evening. If it is not possible to travel that distance in that period of time, they are conspiring witnesses. The Gemara asks, isn't that obvious? The Gemara answers, lest you say, let us be concerned about the possibility that these witnesses traveled on a flying camel. That is, one that runs so quickly that it is enabled to traverse the distance faster than the typical person. Therefore, Rava teaches us that one need not take that possibility into account. So they say that the flying camel is basically like a racing camel. And Rava says, if two witnesses came and said, on Sunday so-and-so killed a person, and two other witnesses came and said, you were with us on Sunday, but on Monday, that so-and-so killed that same person. Moreover, even if the second set of witnesses said, on Shabbat Eve, so-and-so killed that same person, the first set of witnesses is executed, despite the fact that the person against whom they testified was liable to be executed without their testimony. The reason they are liable is that at the time that they testified, conspiring to have him executed by the court, the man was not yet liable for execution by the court. The Gemara asks, what is Rava teaching us? We learn in the Mishnah 6b with regard to two sets of witnesses who testified that one person killed another. Therefore, if one of the sets of witnesses was found to be a set of conspiring witnesses, he, the accused, and they, the conspiring witnesses, are executed by the court, and the second set of witnesses is exempt. The accused is executed because the testimony of the witnesses who are not rendered conspiring witnesses remains unchallenged. The first set of witnesses is executed because they were rendered conspiring witnesses. Clearly, conspiring witnesses may be executed even though they testified against a guilty person who was sentenced to death, provided that their testimony was delivered before he was sentenced. The Gemara answers, it was the latter clause of this halacha, teaching that it is not so with regard to the verdict. That contains a novel element, and therefore it was necessary for Rava to teach it. And in the context of teaching the latter halacha, he taught the first case as well. The latter clause is, if two witnesses came on Tuesday and one said, on Sunday so-and-so was sentenced to death in a certain court, and two other witnesses came and said, on Sunday you were with us elsewhere and you could not have witnessed the verdict in that court, but on Erev Shabbat the same so-and-so was sentenced to death, the first set of witnesses are not executed. Moreover, even if the second set of witnesses said, on Monday, the same so-and-so was sentenced to death, the first set of witnesses are not executed, as at the time that they testified against him on Tuesday, the man was already liable to be executed, and it is as though they conspired to kill a dead man. The Gemara asked, and likewise, the same halacha that applies with regard to witnesses who testified about one who was sentenced to death applies to the matter of payments of a fine. The Gemara explains, if two witnesses came and said on Sunday, this person stole and then slaughtered or sold an ox or a lamb, thereby rendering him liable to pay a fine of 4 or 5 times the value of the stolen animal, Exodus 21:37, and then two other witnesses came and said to the first set of witnesses, on Sunday you were with us elsewhere, but on Monday the same person stole and then slaughtered or sold an ox or a lamb, the first set of witnesses pay the accused 4 or 5 times the value of the stolen animal. This is because at the time that, according to their testimony, he stole the animals, he had not yet stolen. This is because at the time that, according to their testimony, he stole the animals, he had not yet stolen. Moreover, even if the second set of witnesses said it was earlier on Erev Shabbat that he stole and then slaughtered or sold the animals, the first set of witnesses pays the accused the amount of the fine he would have had to pay, as at the time that they testified, the accused man had not yet been found liable for payment by the court, and he could have admitted his guilt and exempted himself from paying the fine. They conspired to render him liable. But if two witnesses came on Tuesday and said, on Sunday, this person stole and then slaughtered or sold an ox or lamb and was sentenced to pay a fine of 4 or 5 times the value of the stolen animal, the two other witnesses came and said, on Sunday you were with us, but that person stole and then slaughtered or sold an ox or a lamb was sentenced on Erev Shabbat. The first set of witnesses are exempt from payment. Moreover, even if the second set of witnesses said, on Sunday he stole and then slaughtered or sold an animal or a lamb, corroborating the testimony of the first set, and on Monday he was sentenced to pay the fine, the first set of the witnesses do not pay the accused. This is because at the time that they testified against him on Tuesday, the man had already been found liable for payment by the court, and therefore they are not conspiring witnesses. The Mishnah teaches that Rabbi Yehuda says, if a single set of witnesses rendered numerous sets of witnesses, all of whom testified that one person killed another, conspiring witnesses, this situation is a conspiracy, and only the first set of conspiring witnesses is executed, and that's conspiracy is istatit. Hold on a second. Okay. The Gemara asks, if Rabbi Yehuda states that this situation is a conspiracy and there's suspicion that the second set is not truthful, let even the first set of witnesses who are rendered conspiring witnesses based on their testimony also not be executed. Rabbi Abahu said, the Mishnah is referring to a case where the judge has already executed the first set of witnesses. Rabbi Yehuda is saying that no witnesses are executed other than the first set of witnesses who were already executed. The Gemara challenges, if so, what was already was. There is no point in stating it as a halacha. Rather, Rabbah said this is what Rabbi Yehuda is saying. If it is only one set of witnesses, it is rendered conspiring witnesses by the second set. The witnesses are executed. If there's no more than one set, they are not executed at all. The Gemara asks, but doesn't Rabbi Yehuda say it is only the first set alone that is executed? This indicates that, contrary to Rabbah's explanation, it is a case involving more than one set of witnesses. The Gemara noted, indeed, this matter is difficult. It's a kasha. Kasha. Let's see. Apropos the dispute in the Mishnah, the Gemara relates, there was a certain woman who brought witnesses to testify on her behalf, and they were proven to be liars. She brought other witnesses, and they too were proven to be liars. She went and brought yet other witnesses who were not proven to be liars. There is an Amoraic dispute whether the testimony of the third set of witnesses is accepted. Reish Lakish said, this woman has assumed the presumptive status of dishonesty because of her repeated reliance on false witnesses. Therefore, the testimony of the third set is rejected. Rabbi Elazar said to him, if she has assumed the presumptive status of dishonesty, has the entire Jewish people assumed that presumptive status? Why assume that these witnesses are dishonest? Basically, you're saying that, so that means if she just brings anybody from Bnei Israel to come as witnesses, that they're liars, presumed to be liars. But that's, right? That's, assuming that the whole nation is now liars. So the Gemara relates, on On another occasion, Reish Lakish and Rabbi Elazar were sitting before Rabbi Yochanan, and an incident similar to this one came before them for judgment. Reish Lakish said, "This woman has assumed the presumptive status of dishonesty." Rabbi Yochanan said to him, "If she has assumed the presumptive status of dishonesty, has the entire Jewish people assumed that presumptive status?" When Reish Lakish heard Rabbi Yochanan respond in a matter identical to the earlier response of Rabbi Elazar, he turned his head and glared angrily at Rabbi Elazar, and he said to him, "You heard this matter from Bar Napacha," that is Rabbi Yochanan, "and you did not say it to me in his name. Had I known that you were stating Rabbi Yochanan's opinion, I would have accepted it." The Gemara suggests, let us say that Reish Lakish stated his opinion that this woman has assumed the presumptive status of dishonesty in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, who invalidates the testimony of witnesses based on suspicion that arises due to the circumstances, even though there is no proof that they lied. And Rabbi Yochanan stated his opinion in accordance with the opinion of the rabbis, meaning the majority, who do not invalidate testimony based on unsubstantiated suspicion. The Gemara rejects this suggestion. Reish Lakish could say to you, "I state my opinion even in accordance with the opinion of the rabbis," meaning the majority, as the rabbis say that one relies on witnesses who render multiple sets of witnesses, conspiring witnesses, only there in the Mishnah. In a case where there is no one who is seeking to hire witnesses to testify on his behalf, one could assert that their testimony is true. But here, there is this woman who is seeking to hire witnesses to testify on her behalf, which arouses suspicion that she hired them to lie on her behalf. And Rabbi Yochanan could say to you, "I state my opinion even in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda," as Rabbi Yehuda says that the testimony of the second set is invalid based on unsubstantiated suspicion only there in the Mishnah, where circumstances exacerbate the suspicion that they are lying. As we say, is that to say that everyone, the numerous sets of witnesses, are standing near these witnesses who testified in order to render them conspiring witnesses. But here, perhaps these witnesses who came last and were not proven to be liars know the content of the testimony, and these witnesses who were proven to be liars do not know the content of the testimony. The fact that the testimony of the first sets of witnesses are rendered void has no bearing on the status of the other witnesses. The Mishnah now, it says the conspiring witnesses are executed only if they are rendered conspiring witnesses after the verdict of the accused is concluded. This is in contrast to the opinion of the Sadducees. As the Sadducees say, conspiring witnesses are executed only if they are rendered conspiring witnesses after the accused is killed on the basis of their testimony. As it is stated, a life for a life. Exodus 21:23 and Deuteronomy 19:21. The rabbis, meaning the majority, said to the Sadducees, "But wasn't it already stated, quote, 'And you shall do to him as he conspired to do to his brother'?" Deuteronomy 19:19. And this latter verse indicates that his accused brother is alive. And if so, why is it stated a life for a life? One might have thought that they are rendered conspiring witnesses from the moment the judges accepted their testimony in court. They will be executed. And even though no verdict was concluded, therefore the verse states a life for a life, teaching that they are executed only if they are rendered conspiring witnesses after the verdict of the accused will be concluded, from the moment that the court is on the verge of taking his life. So the Gemara, it is taught with regard to the halacha in the Mishnah that a sage referred to as the distinguished, or Baribi, says, if the conspiring witnesses have not yet killed the accused with their testimony, they are executed. But if they kill the accused with their testimony, they are not executed. The father of that sage, who was also a prominent sage, said to him, "My son, is this matter not derived through an a fortiori inference? If, when they were unsuccessful in their attempt to kill the accused, they are executed, all the more so, if they were successful in killing him, should they be executed." He said to his father, You have taught us, our teacher, that one does not administer punishment based on an a fortiori inference. The punishment must be stated in the Torah, as it is taught in the Braita, that among the relatives whom are engaging in intercourse, it is forbidden, as it states, a man who takes his sister, the daughter of his father, and the daughter of his mother, Leviticus 20:17, I have derived only the daughter of his father, who is not the daughter of his mother, or the daughter of his mother, who is not the daughter of his father. From where is it derived that one is liable for engaging in intercourse with his sister, who is both the daughter of his mother and the daughter of his father? It is derived from a verse, as the verse states, he has uncovered the nakedness of his sister, Leviticus 20:17, indicating that one is liable for engaging in intercourse with any sister. The Braita continues, even if the verse had not stated that one is liable for engaging in intercourse with his sister, one sister with whom he has both parents in common, I have proof from an a fortiori inference. If the Torah punished an individual for engaging in intercourse with the daughter of his father, who is not the daughter of his mother, or for engaging in intercourse with the daughter of his mother, who is not the daughter of his father, is it not all the more so clear that he should be punished for engaging in intercourse with his sister, who is both the daughter of his father and the daughter of his mother? From the fact that the Torah explicitly prohibited intercourse in that case and did not rely on the inference, you learn that one does not administer punishment based on an a fortiori inference. The Braita continues, we heard from that verse, Leviticus 20:17, the punishment for engaging in intercourse with one's sister with whom he has both parents in common. From where is the prohibition against engaging in those acts of intercourse derived? It is derived from a verse, as the verse states, the nakedness of your sister, the daughter of your father, or the daughter of your mother, you shall not uncover. Leviticus 18, verse 9. I have derived the prohibition against engaging in intercourse only with the daughter of his father, who is not the daughter of his mother, or with the daughter of his mother, who is not the daughter of his father. From where do I derive a prohibition against engaging in intercourse with his sister, who is both the daughter of his father and the daughter of his mother? It is derived from a verse, as the verse states, the nakedness of your daughter, of your father's wife, born of your father, she is your sister. Leviticus 18:11, indicating that engaging in intercourse with any sister is prohibited. The Braita continues, even if the verse had not stated that engaging in intercourse with one's sister with whom he has both parents in common is forbidden, I have proof for this from an a fortiori inference. If one was prohibited from engaging in intercourse with the daughter of his mother who is not the daughter of his father, and with the daughter of his father who is not the daughter of his mother, is it not all the more so clear that he is prohibited from engaging in intercourse with his sister who is both the daughter of his father and the daughter of his mother? You learn from this that one does not derive a prohibition based on an a fortiori inference. The Braita continues, from where is it derived that one does not administer punishment for those liable to receive lashes, based on an a fortiori inference, and that the principle is not limited to capital punishment? The verse states, a verbal analogy between the term wicked, written with regard to those liable to be executed, and the term wicked, written with regard to those liable to receive lashes. With regard to those liable to be executed, it is written, who is wicked and deserves to die? Numbers 35, verse 3. With regard to those liable to receive lashes, it is written, and it shall be if the wicked is deserving of lashes. Deuteronomy 25, verse 2. From where is it derived that one does not administer punishment to those liable to be executed based on an a fortiori inference? It is derived by means of a verbal analogy between the term murderer, written with regard to those who kill intentionally, see Numbers 35:21, and the term murderer, written with regard to those who kill unwittingly, Numbers 35:11. The conclusion is that one does not administer any punishment based on an a fortiori inference. Apropos the dispute between the Sadducees and the sages, it is taught in a Braita, Rabbi Yehuda ben Teba says in the form of an oath. Rabbi Yehuda ben Tabai says in the form of an oath, I will not see the future consolation of the Jewish people if I did not, as a member of the court, kill a single conspiring witnesses in order to eradicate this reasoning from the hearts of the Sadducees, who would say that conspiring witnesses are executed only if they are rendered conspiring witnesses after the accused will be killed. Rabbi Yehuda ben Tabai killed the conspiring witnesses while the accused remained alive. Shimon ben Shittach said to him, I will not see the consolation of the Jewish people if you did not shed thereby innocent blood. As the sages said, conspiring witnesses are not executed unless both of them are rendered conspiring witnesses, and they are not flogged unless both of them are rendered conspiring witnesses. In this case, only one was rendered a conspiring witness. Rabbi Yehuda ben Tabai immediately accepted a commitment upon himself that he would issue a halakhic ruling only when he was before Shimon ben Shittach, to avoid mistakes in the future. And throughout all of Rabbi Yehuda ben Tabai's days, he would tearfully prostrate himself on the grave of that witness whom he executed to request forgiveness for having done so. And his voice was heard from a distance, and the people thought to say that it was the voice of the executed witness that was heard. Rabbi Yehuda ben Tabai said to them, It is my voice. Know that this is so, as tomorrow, that is sometime in the future, he, referring to himself, will die, and his voice will no longer be heard. Rav Acha, son of Rava, said to Rav Ashi, And the fact that the voice will cease after Rabbi Yehuda ben Tabai's death is inconclusive as proof that the voice is not that of the executed witness. Perhaps the reason that the voice of the executed person will no longer be heard is that he confronted Rabbi Yehuda ben Tabai in trial before the heavenly court, obviating the need for crying from his grave. Alternatively, perhaps Rabbi Yehuda ben Tabai appeased the executed witness in the world to come, and there is silence because no grievances remained. Now we're back to the Mishnah. It is written, at the mouth of two witnesses, or three witnesses, shall he who is to die be executed. Deuteronomy 17, verse 6. The question is, if the testimony is valid with two witnesses, why did the verse specify that it is valid with three? Rather, it is to juxtapose and liken 3 to 2. Just as 3 witnesses can render the 2 witnesses conspiring witnesses, so too 2 witnesses can render the 3 witnesses conspiring witnesses. And from where is it derived that 2 witnesses can render even 100 witnesses conspiring witnesses? It is derived from a verse, as the verse states, 3 witnesses. Since the verse is obviously discussing witnesses, the term witnesses is superfluous, as it could have stated 2 or 3. The term witnesses teaches that 2 witnesses can render a set of witnesses conspiring witnesses irrespective of their number. Rabbi Shimon says, and I think that the verse that they're saying witnesses is Deuteronomy 17, verse 6. Sorry. So Rabbi Shimon says that 3 witnesses are mentioned in the verse in order to teach, just as 2 witnesses who testified that a person is liable to be executed are not killed for his testimony unless both of them are found to be conspiring witnesses, so too 3 witnesses who testified together are not killed unless all 3 of them are found to be conspiring witnesses. And from where is it derived that the same halacha applies even to 100 witnesses? It is derived from a verse, as the verse states 3 witnesses. The superfluous term witnesses teaches that the status of all witnesses who came to the court as a single set of witnesses is that of one testimony with regard to this halacha. Rabbi Akiva says, the 3rd witness mentioned in this verse does not come for the judges to be lenient concerning him. Rather, its mention comes for the judges to be stringent concerning him and to render his halakhic status like that of these 2 witnesses who testified with him. One could claim that since the testimony of the 3rd witness is superfluous, as the testimony of the 2 witnesses sufficed, the 3rd witness and any other witnesses beyond the first 2 should be exempt. Therefore, the verse teaches that since he testified with him and was rendered a conspiring witness with him, he too is executed. One can learn a moral from this halacha. And if the verse punished one who associates with transgressors with a punishment like the one received by the transgressors, even though this rule is the let me start over. So one can learn a moral from this halacha. Okay. And if the verse punished one who associates with transgressors with a punishment like the one received by the transgressors, even though his role in the transgression is ancillary, all the more so will God pay reward to one who associates with those who perform a mitzvah, like the reward of those who perform the mitzvah themselves, even though his role in performing the mitzvah is ancillary. So thank you everyone who came to the Siyum with me and helped me perform that last mitzvah. So the Mishnah cites another derivation based on the juxtaposition of 2 to 3. Just as with regard to 2 witnesses, if one of them is found to be a relative or is otherwise disqualified, their entire testimony is voided, as it is no longer the testimony of 2 witnesses. So too with regard to 3 witnesses who came to testify as one set. If one of them is found to be a relative or is otherwise disqualified, their entire testimony is voided, even though 2 valid witnesses remain. From where is it derived that the same halacha applies even in the case of 100 witnesses? It is derived from a verse, as the verse states, witnesses. And that's, again, I think that's Deuteronomy 17, verse 6. So that is the end of Daf 5. So thanks for watching. Have a wonderful Pesach. Again, please watch this after Pesach. I'm going to have the other video for the second day of Yom Tov. But again, watch this after Pesach. Thank you.